Thanks for joining, and viewers, thanks so much for spending some time with us.
Yes, thank you so much. We're excited to share our topic today, our
Yeah,
me to we discussions.
yeah, and today we're talking about the beginning, the start of your journey. How do we get there? What is it? And then some helpful tips on breathing exercises that can help really manifest that into your physical body. I feel like those are so helpful. So thank you for coming up with those or curating those for us, Aaron.
It's my pleasure. Um, in the context of our methodology, the basics method, the first step is always the beginning. And essentially, it begins with a beginner's mindset. Uh, you know, a beginner's mindset is basically a blank canvas. The way I like to look at it, Maria, is to see the world through a child's eyes.
Yeah, and I like to look at it as a fresh start, a fresh approach.
Mhm.
To me, it's very science based, scientific method, and seeing things objectively. And I think it's a great place to be. It's a great place to start your personal development journey, even if it's your first time ever doing work like this, or if you're a seasoned, introspective person, but feel like, dang, I need to start somewhere fresh. Maybe you're going through something that needs a fresh take on it.
Exactly. A close friend of mine always says you need to just step aside and look at it from another point of view, a fresh, clear perspective, without the lens that you filter your reality through. So, again, the beginning is always the beginner's mind. And a great quote I really resonate with is by Shunryu Suzuki. He says, "If your mind is empty, it is open to everything. In the beginner's mind, there are many possibilities, but in the expert's mind, there are few."
Yeah, I looked into him. I hadn't heard of him before, and I know he has a book all about this approach. So that might be helpful to some of our viewers. But when you read that, I think of corporate America and how a lot of these corporations bring in fresh meat to kind of give them a fresh perspective, especially in marketing.
Sure.
And it's applicable in our daily lives. So if that helps you kind of conceptualize of what that process can look like, it's literally bringing in a fresh perspective, a fresh set of eyes to whatever you're facing.
Yeah, essentially, I mean, you see that all the time in large corporations where the young folk are always responsible for social media or getting the
Yeah.
message out because they have greater creativity, they have an open mind, they aren't um what do you say, like boxed in by old programming or methods or ways of thinking.
Yeah.
So there's just more delight in everything that's created.
I think it'll be helpful for people to know why they should try this approach. So if you can like bring us back to where this all started for you and what kind of got you into saying, hey, maybe I need to do things a little bit differently.
Well, Maria, I live with a pretty complicated condition. I have a spinal cord injury. Every day I am forced to have to apply all of the things that we talk about on this channel. I am forced to live very mindfully and to approach the many problems that I face on a day-to-day basis with this open, humble beginner's mindset. Because if I don't, then I can very easily succumb to the gravity, literally gravity of my situation. My body is a constant enigma. I manage a lot of pain, physical pain, and you can imagine the emotional roller coaster that puts me through. So, in order to maintain an even keel, a sense of poise and balance in my life, I just rely on these simple fundamentals, memory cues, or what we like to call mind seeds. The first being a beginner's mind. Approach the day with humility, with an openness and a willingness to see things in a new way.
I love humility and how you approach life in such a humble manner. Aaron and I went to a conference recently and we were learning about advanced human behavior change. And part of it was learning about stubbornness and how it can get in the way of making changes that will create ripple effects in your life. So I think this approach is a great way to kind of turn the page with stubbornness and really give your life a shot to unfold in an authentic, joyful manner. So I think it's very applicable. You also kind of already outlined steps for people that are like, okay, I get it. Taking things with a new perspective. I kind of see it as taking um, sunrise and sunset, kind of letting that manifest every day when the sun rises. We have a new chance, right? A new approach. I like to start from zero each day. And I'm a lifelong learner, so I actually struggle with that. I struggle with feeling like I don't know anything. I don't have any credibility. That's things that I struggle with. So I think that this approach is great. But for people that are like, how do I do it? You have some steps already outlined to help us kind of hone in on this beginner's mind.
Indeed. Isn't that the paradox? Being a lifelong learner, the more we learn and the more we think we understand, the less we truly do.
Yeah.
It's, I think, waking up each day to a new sunrise and being humble and being open is a great way to just be in general. We don't know everything. We know actually very little. So let's keep that in mind. Um,
It
and
takes the
with that
pressure off.
Yeah, it takes the pressure off. And with that in
Yeah.
mind, let's just keep it simple still. There's so many things in life that make life too complicated. And that's part of our problem is we're so in our heads all the time that it can inhibit us from being present and in the moment. And I know that's so easy to say. It's a lot easier said than done. But finding our way back to the present moment is really our objective. So with that, in our book that's going to be coming out later this year called It Works, the Basics Method, um, I have outlined 5 simple steps to cultivate a beginner's mind. Again, these are mind seeds, small little memory cues just to remember. And the first step to a beginner's mind is to try and ignore some of our past stories or experiences, these things that uh, essentially our programming. We want to see things as they really are, not what your mind is telling you. That would be step one.
Yeah. And to bounce off that, I don't want people to feel like ignoring your past story, your history is forgetting or invalidating what you've gone through. I think it's just letting it not control the outcome of your future and actually allowing a joyful life to unfold, which is possible. So I just want people out there to know that we can find a space where you can validate what you've gone through, but also not be attached to it in a way, not let it control things that haven't happened yet, right?
So important. Question every assumption. That's such a great addition, Maria. Thank you. Number 2 is take inspiration from children. I mean, really, for a child, everything is new and they approach every situation with a sense of wonder and amazement. Yeah, I see this in my 3-year-old daughter. You know, everything is interesting. Everything is essentially a challenge that she needs to find a creative way uh, to either solve a problem or learn something new. But everything is new and exciting, and I love watching this learning process unfold for her. So take inspiration from children.
Love that. Ways that it applies to my daily life. I actually just started taking an infrared yoga class,
Hmm.
and we had just started talking about like being more playful in your day-to-day life, and the yoga class is called power play. So I thought that was really cool to like really get my hands dirty with playing. But to me, that can also mean like taking a pottery class, like get a coloring book, things where you're actually physically doing things that children would do. Get your hands dirty, have fun, right?
Yeah, I was told once, hands-on learning is brains-on learning. So
Yeah.
immerse yourself. I love that point. Number 3 is slow down. Slow down and take a breath. And we dive into the breath later, but truly, um, again, that it seems simple, but so often in this fast-paced life, we don't slow down. We don't take a moment to act with intention, to be really alive in the present moment. This allows us to take a different approach.
Yeah. And we also learned at the conference there's two great ways to slow down, right? There's connecting to self, to your inner world, through whatever practices get you in touch with your thoughts and honoring your thoughts and listening.
Mm.
And also connecting to something higher than you. So, whether that's like God, a creator, some cultures like to call upon their ancestors, something that kind of gives you that supportive feeling, but also takes you out. But I find that those are helpful moments where I can just like tune out the world and kind of have a quiet moment to myself. In my yoga practice, we do it in the beginning and at the end of class. And it's just a moment where there's silence and I can just tune in and like feel how I'm feeling. Also journaling. I actually got a journal and I've been doing it lately and it's been so helpful. Even though I feel kind of silly doing it, sometimes I'm just like, I don't know what to write. But it's like cultivating that practice, right? Of tuning in and listening to what's going on up in my head.
Beautiful. Well, that journal is just for you. It's just to
Yeah.
get something out of your mind and onto a page. Uh, Beautiful. Number 4 is remove the word should from your vocabulary. You should do this or should do that.
I'm
Um,
guilty.
so am I, right? We all are. Let go of an
No, but I'm a
expectation
control
here.
freak. Yeah, I'm a control freak. Should is I'm stuck on number 4.
Yeah,
I'll
self-admittedly,
be
you told me
asking you
that
for
the other
support.
day. Well, I think we all are to some extent. We try to the best of our ability to control our environments. I mean, that's just a self-preservation mechanism. It's when so much of the world and life is out of our control, what can we grasp? What can we, what levers can we pull to our benefit? You know, so
Yeah.
but however, it's a double-edged sword. When you try to control so many things, you set yourself up with expectations and specific outcomes. And when those things don't pan out the way you want them to, you're left disappointed and
and and suffering comes and sneaks up on
suffering
you,
comes.
unnecessary suffering. But can you give us some tips on how to I came up with one, changing should to could, because it's nice to
I like
think that you
that.
have the option, but what are other ways that we can let go of using
Well,
should?
these are in this, we can, I think, explain this in other parts of the methodology, but it's about the ego. And this is number 5. This is putting the ego on the back burner, and letting go of the need to be right, to have things go exactly as you want them to. That's just not really how the world works. You can put intention out there, you can have an invocation, you can, you know, write it out and see it in your mind with visualization, but then don't attach yourself to it. I think, in the Buddhist philosophy, the 3 noble truths is attachment is the root of suffering, right? Like,
Yeah.
well, the first one is life is suffering. Attachment is the root of that suffering. And if you release attachment, then you release suffering. And so essentially that's what we're talking about here, is letting go of that egoic um, mind. Approach every situation as though it's an opportunity to learn something new or an opportunity to improve yourself in some way.
Yeah, for me, it's helpful if I don't resist my ego. I know it's there. We all have it, and it serves a purpose. So embracing that and knowing, hey, if I'm being too attached to this right now, it's my ego. But maybe like give it a moment and then try to let it go. I also came across a TikTok channel the other day and I loved it. I'm gonna send it to you. It's this girl, she's like learning how to do social media marketing, and her bio said master of failure. And
Mm.
I loved it because in her video, she like says, "Oh, I tried this method and it failed, but I learned a lot." And I think that was a great way to like take it. Like be a master of failure. Like be okay with failing. And is failing even really a failure if you're learning something, if you're a step closer to your goal? Um, thought that was kind of funny.
You're so right. That's such a strong point. Uh, I mean, those that succeed are just those that fail and fail and fail and refuse to give up, right? We just fail forward. We just learn, we just grow, we evolve, and we carry on. I think you
Yeah,
learn more in your failures or defeats than you do when you succeed in something.
you do. You do. Okay, we also have some breathing exercises that you tied in to this beginner's mind. Let's go over
Do
them.
yeah, do we in this episode, I mean, it's all about the beginner's mind, and we can touch a little bit on the breath, but do you think our listeners would want more of just a breath specific episode where we really dig deeper into the techniques?
I would love that just for my own knowledge, and especially since we're posting on our social medias some of these breathing techniques with
Yeah.
like guided meditation style breathing exercises. So I think it might be helpful.
Yeah. I mean, we can say, I always like to say that you inhale the future and exhale the past. You know, the breath is the bridge between your body and your mind. And we want to do that justice. I think we want to give our listeners or the people that tune in a real opportunity to dig into what we're talking about with the breath. And I don't want it to get lost in the beginner's mind messaging. So maybe for our viewers and listeners, if you guys want to comment, type in, share your experiences with the beginner's mind, even make suggestions regarding breath work in our next episode that we want to cover. All things breath, mindful breathing specifically.
Yeah, love that. Share what you're struggling with too. Maybe we can help you cultivate this beginner's mind in our future videos.
This has been a lot of fun just discussing this topic of the beginner's mind with you, Maria, and with all of our listeners today. Thank you all so much for joining us.
We hope this was helpful and gives you just a little snippet, a little mind seed of the start of your journey. We love this type of conversation. And if you do too, follow us, subscribe, drop a comment. We're on TikTok and on Instagram as well.
Tell us what you would like to hear or know more about. We really look forward to having these discussions with you in the future. So thank you, Maria, and we'll see you guys next time.
Thank you, Erin. Bye.
Bye.